Hello and welcome to Connections, Forum for Relationships, Expression and Healing. And we are in episode 32. And this is 32B. It is a special edition because in our original episode 32, it was planned with Vivekananda and with David F Leopold, and he couldn't come, so we invited him to this special edition tonight. For me, it's night. For you, probably during the day. So, coming back to our show, it offers single episodes and short series of talks and interviews regarding the most important areas of human life, such as relationship issues, personal expression and self-development, and cultural development, as well as healing of all these areas. And the purpose of our show is to give you inspiration and also to teach you new skills with which to handle the issues which are connected with these topics. Today, we are in our mini-series Your Voice Counts, and as we said, we have a special talk with David F Leopold. So, welcome again, and I'm Heidi Hörnlein, and I'm from the powerofrelationship.com. I'm a transformational coach and a relationship counselor and also a voice therapist, and I'm the owner of Paradiso Integrale here in Italy, a retreat center, and also an association where we create new podcasts like this one and the future one, which is upcoming, the Wisdom Factory. And with that, I think I have talked enough about me, and I give over to Margarita.
Hello, and welcome everybody. I'm Margarita Cristalotis, and I am an intuitive life and business mentor. And I help professional women overcome past hurt so that they can reconnect in their relationships and have a great career. And today we have the amazing honor to have two guests. First, David F Leopold, and he is, say hi, Leopold.
Hello. and I am indeed honored that you created a special 32B for myself. Thank you very much. I'm indeed honored.
And then we have Vivek. Say hi.
Hello.
Okay. So David F Leopold is a small business marketing expert and has an interest in educating small businesses owner about health insurance. Soon he will have, he said on his profile, 15,000 views of the more than 700 videos in his impressive YouTube library. And more than 100 small businesses have started from folks who have viewed his videos. He says, today I am producing 3 branded Google HOAs, Dreaming with Entrepreneurs, Start Building Your Business, and Baby Boomers Living the Entrepreneurial Dream. Did I miss anything there, David?
You didn't miss anything, but you added some things. That must be an older profile. One thing I would like to say, probably about 3 years ago, I stopped really focusing on healthcare. Although healthcare actually today needs more attention for the small business owner than it did 3 years ago. And I don't know how things are in Europe, but in the United States, it is very, very challenging to be a small business owner and provide health care for your employees under the new Affordable Care Act. So I don't focus too much on health care anymore. It's too complex, but I do focus on marketing and sales. And there was a third brand. About a couple years ago, I had created a couple Google Plus communities totally focused toward baby boomers. I am a baby boomer. Baby boomers represent the major demographic in this country. Baby boomers are retired. Baby boomers own businesses. Baby boomers create a lot of challenges for our economy here in the United States. But a couple months ago, whereas my community still exists, I have spending more time really emphasizing my Dreaming with Entrepreneurs, where small business owners gather, collaboratively we gather, and share the challenges. So we try to help each other in the various challenges that we have in our business. That's really my mission and major focus.
Thank you so much. Also, Vivek, can you give a short introduction to yourself?
Shall I start with my 60-second, David?
Yeah, do this 60 seconds, and if you go over 60 seconds like I did, you have to say simplify life. Integrate, simple life.
I believe in living a simple life. I believe in thinking differently. I am proud to share my beliefs with Steve Jobs and Leonardo da Vinci, who said simplicity is the ultimate in sophistication.
Awesome.
So when you want to simplify things, when you want to integrate your technology, your business with your life, you can contact me through my Google Plus profile or my website, wake-technology.com.
Okay, awesome. So today we're going to talk about your voice in business. So what does your voice have to do with business? Who wants to answer that? David?
Well, it's obviously the place where we need to start. It's the first question: how important is the voice? And theoretically, the voice is everything. The voice that you project to the marketplace, that's what your business is about. And it's important that you spend a lot of time actually thinking about what that voice should sound like as you're telling the marketplace about your business. And the larger the organization, as the organization gets larger, there are more voices to be heard. And then the challenge for that entrepreneur is making sure that there's a consistent voice among all the employees within a company. So the voice is everything. Is that well said?
I think so. And we can move on to the next question. So I know that many business owners they're not confident, they don't really know where to go, and to develop their voice. How do you suggest, any one of you guys, how do you suggest that you actually make your voice count?
I'll take a first shot at it. Hearing some silence from Vivek for a moment as he ponders the answer to the question. Margarita, one of the things that small business owners do not do a very good job with is engaging an advisory board, if you will, for their small business, so that that voice that the business projects, when you have an advisory board, your advisory board will help you send out the best voice that you possibly can. Sometimes entrepreneurs get very hung up in what it is that they have, of the product they have, the service they have to sell, and they forget the big total picture of the business. And that's why I believe that the voice of the business is not just, well, it is the voice of the entrepreneur, it is the voice of the employees within that company, but that voice is brought together by an advisory board, folks that bring other skill sets to that business. It might be an attorney, it might be an accountant, a banker, an insurance person, a business strategist, an entrepreneur, a technology person. It's important that you get multifaceted thinking that you take to the marketplace. So it's a combination of a lot of voices. But once again, whatever the input is, it's got to be consistent. Because when you change the voice of your company, the marketplace will pick up on it very, very quickly.
I think you are speaking to a difficulty with solopreneurs have, because they feel overwhelmed, like me, to have to decide everything myself, you know. So there is not really, how did you say, advisory board, which you can ask. You might ask a friend, and you might ask, you know, somebody you hire, but you don't really know if this is the right advice, you know. So I think it's quite difficult to be a solopreneur. So what could you give in this case as an advice?
It's very difficult. It's very difficult, and that's why it's a great point, and it's the main reason why I created my Dreaming with Entrepreneurs and Google Plus as a community. And the very first statement I used to describe the community is their strength in numbers. So you can present a challenge. You can come into the community, present the challenge in a discussion forum, and say, this is a challenge I'm having, what do you think about it? Or how do you deal with that challenge in your company? And in doing so, then you, at the end of the day, though, you have to pick what's best for you and what's best for your company. But I think it behooves you to listen to other folks and see how they deal with different situations. Point number one. Point number two, and this is an interesting challenge that I'm having in the community as the moderator, as the owner of the community. At least 50% or more of my community are folks, solopreneurs from outside the United States. I understand the basic principles of small business. They're not going to change wherever you are in the world. What does change is the culture within that country and how you are able to deal with certain situations. In many countries around the world, the government plays a big part in the decisions that you make in your company. In the United States, the government makes a lot of decisions for us, but we still have a lot. We have a lot of liberty to make the kinds of decisions and do the things we want. But you are absolutely right. Heidi, it's extremely challenging to be a solopreneur, and we need collaboration among small businesses. One of my messages is that the future of small business is truly how we collaborate with one another. We can't do it alone. We cannot do it alone. It won't work. But together, I can help you, you can help me, and together we can help another party or another group of folks. That's how it has to work.
Together we can make it. This is one of my great slogans for my upcoming Wisdom Factory.
A lot of wisdom.
I put this question out in the beginning, why does your voice count? It's to say that really that everybody counts. Everybody's voice counts. And if you're in business also there is a place for you. It's just the way how to find it, I think. Because sometimes we don't know all the technical stuff, we don't know all the marketing stuff, we just know we want to do a business of some kind. But there is probably some clients, but you have to find them. So that's why I asked that question. Do you have any further comment on that?
Vivek, what are your challenges as a solopreneur?
As a solopreneur, one of the challenges is make people aware of what they're missing. It's often they seem to think that they have everything that they need, and they don't need more technology. That's the thinking often, and often it's the case where they don't think it is necessary, but someone else does, and who thinks technology is necessary and they need to look into new technology, new way of doing things, they become more successful, in which case this person then loses out. But the challenge I often have is making them aware of this possibility before it actually happens to them.
So,
Marguerite, I was going to say real quickly, Vivek and I really represent the collaborative small business model very well. My expertise is marketing and sales. His true expertise is technology. And so when he has a marketing and sales question, he comes to me. When I have a technology question, I go to him. And together we can come up with a workable solution. We know how each other operates. The more that we ask one another questions, we know the kind of thinking that is going to evolve. So we truly I would say, Vivek, wouldn't you agree that at least once a week, wow, we know once a week in your HOA, but at least once a week, you and I, ask each other questions in our areas of expertise. Is that pretty accurate?
Yes, more than once. Yes. Mm-hmm.
A wonderful example of collaboration, I would say. I would still add something, Vivek. As I understood you, you sort of have to convince people that they need you. Is it so?
not rather than
called marketing.
Yeah, that's marketing. But
you know, I wanted to just throw in, this is what happened to me when I was a voice coach. I mean, I still am, but I have sort of left this thing because people think that their voice, and as we are talking about voice today, their physical voice that's what it is. And they never think that they could speak and sing in a completely different way. And I tried them. When people talk like this, for instance, in a hangout, this is after an hour, you cannot listen anymore when somebody speaks like that. So I try, I try to tell them that they can change their voice, but I never landed because people are so identified with their physical voice. And I imagine that it might also be the same thing with businesses, that they are so identified, I mean, probably I am, with my idea how it should be, that it's difficult to really believe when other people say, but you should learn technology. I mean, I did this jump. I'm learning for 1.5 years now technology. Before, I didn't really want to do that, But now I'm doing it, and I'm grateful for that. But it took time. And if you came to me about 4 years ago, you have to learn technology, I would say, go.
Well, then we can segue into the next question about how to position your voice, meaning who are you to your client, the potential client, because you can speak with different voices. You can speak from a point of view of a corporate or professional, a friend, a mentor, coworker, or peer. So how do we actually choose how we're going to position ourselves and present ourselves in our business sense when we want to do marketing, when we want to connect with clients?
It's a great question, and I got a big smile on my face when I first read the question, Margarita. It's your question number 4. You put corporate, professional, friend, savior, mentor, parent, authority, etc. I have been every single one of those things at some point in my life with clients, because I look at life a little bit differently. I look at business a little bit differently. I don't necessarily market myself and wait for the world to come to me. I go to the world, and I will find. I'll do my research. I'll do my homework, and I'll say I want to do business with that company. I want to do business with them or that individual or whatever. So I do my homework. I find what the pain points are, and then I go and I start to address those things. So I go after clients one at a time. I don't wait for the clients to come to me. I've never been that way, and for me, it works. It's not going to work for everybody, but it's been my formula. And I will have to say, in the '90s, I had a large client base of very, very large companies. And I would work mainly with the chief marketing officer or somebody at that level, vice president of marketing, whatever. And those folks were my friends. Not only were they my clients and they came to me to help them with their marketing pains, but we became friends. It was just logical that we became friends. And today, some of my best friends are former clients from years ago.
Well, that's really very cool, because I also asked this question about how personal you have to be. And can you mention something about that also?
Yes, well, to that point, and it is an extension to this question, as personable as you want to be, and two, as personable as the client will accept. Let's not kid ourselves. The client is there. They're our lifeblood. They pay us to do something. We have to make them comfortable. So if they are comfortable with building a friend relationship, it's incumbent upon you to do that. But you have to find out where each of your comfort levels is, and then integrate from that point on.
Yeah. I wanted to ask Heidi too, because we both are coaches, right? So how do you see that question about being personal?
I think it's very much in tuning into the client and see how much the client can how do you say, handle. I think the personal is important to make yourself seen as a person, but you must be very careful not to weigh with your own personal things on the client. It's the other way around. So it is like a dance. Maybe you use your personal experience as an example, but you don't talk about yourself in this sense. It's yeah. You are friendly.
I think maybe in our profession we need to be even more careful of mixing personal and business together. Yeah, we can be friendly, but we have ethical values because of the sensitive issues that we work with emotional problems and stuff like that. Whereas if you do technical stuff, what do you say, Vivek? Can you be a buddy with your client if they're, I don't know. What do you say about that question, Vivek?
I think that my answer would be you need to be authentic.
Mm-hmm.
You need to represent a same voice wherever it is. But then you wouldn't. This was discussed, I think, by, I'm not sure whether it was Martin Shervington or was it David Emerland, but one of those two. He said that, yes, you need to be authentic all the time, but then when you talk to, say, for example, talk to your mother, or you talk to your aunt, you talk to your wife, you talk to your child, you are the same person, but you change slightly, you change in a subtle way, and then it is still you, but still it is slightly different for each of them. You can't, I mean, you can crack a joke with your friends who are your peers, mates, but you can't, probably you don't crack the same joke to your mother or your father or someone like that, or neither to your children. So yes, it has to be authentic, but it has to be appropriate, and one has to be aware of what's going on, and yeah.
Margarita, part of that too is, and everybody is going to be different. Sense of humor. Sense of humor plays into that formula. If you have one, and that's part of your personality, to Vivek's point of authenticity, keep that sense of humor going. I tend to be sarcastic, but I try to do it in a humorous kind of way, not sarcasm. It's just part of my personality. So
can I tell you a small story?
Absolutely.
There was this. This is, I mean, it also plays into what David, you were saying earlier about different cultures and phrases and so on. This is what happened in India. There was this American person who was training these software engineers in India about a software package. He explained how things work and so on and so forth, and then he said, he used an expression, you do all this, you take all these steps, and Bob is your uncle. He used the expression, Bob is your uncle. But one of the engineers raised his hand and said, sorry, I don't have an uncle called as Bob.
Yeah, cultural barriers or other customs and rituals, one has to be mindful of that, especially in this global market where, like, I'm sitting here in Canada, Heidi's in Italy, you, David, is in the United States, and Vivek is in the United Kingdom, so there's bound to be things that one must be mindful of. So this question, how personal you can be, it's actually quite an important question, I think. And to go on to the next thing, how...
I would still, wait a minute, I would also include how personal you can be. It's also a gender thing, you know, between men and women, so complicated.
Well, you don't crack a joke with a woman client that you would sit in the bar and talk with your male buddies with. If you're a man, it's like,
why not?
Doesn't jive. It doesn't jive. It doesn't.
Maybe some do, some don't.
Some, yeah. But if you first start out and being very personable, that can come across as something a little bit offensive, right?
Well, that's part of
that out fast.
That's part of understanding, you know, why you are there. Why are you meeting with this individual? What's the purpose? And personalities play into it. And we as service providers, we have to, that's part of the task that we have to do, is understand the personality of our clients. So the voice that we project is something that our client is going to interact with, and that's a challenge. It's a psychology thing. It's a study in human behavior. We have to understand human behavior to do a good job, and it's not just about presenting the business concept, the business principle. It's about how you present it, and how you present it. You just have to understand all those things. It's I have a lot of fun with that. I will get to the heart of the matter as quickly as possible.
Okay, so that's a really good answer. And I want to move on to talking about, David, what do you feel is the biggest fears of business owners that prohibit them to actually be really authentic with their marketing, with their voice?
I fear nothing myself, so I have to think about I have to think about the other person. Probably it's the fear of, is the person on the other side of the table understanding what I'm trying to say? Are they buying into what I am trying to say? And are they going to buy what I am saying? I think that's probably the fears that we have. I mean, certain things, with all due respect to the technology people of the world, technology is technology. We all need it. We all use it. It's kind of black and white. Marketing and sales are not. There's a lot of gray areas to marketing and sales. So those are the kinds of things that we have to think about as we meet and project the voice that we need to project. It really, I don't think it's anything more than understanding human behavior. And I say this often, that when we're asking a customer, a client, to buy something from us, a product, a service, if they haven't bought from us before, we're asking them to change their behavior. And people do not change behaviors quickly. Changing of a behavior is change. Change in and of itself is something that doesn't happen easily. So it's a matter of educating. It's a matter of researching, understanding, and it's all part of that interpersonal communication that we have to get into. They say people are not going to buy from you unless they like you, respect you, and trust you. I mean, so you have to always work towards those objectives. And I guess probably the hardest one is getting somebody to like you. And I guess that's maybe one of those fears that the small business owner has.
So how do you guide your clients to be having that trust and like factor increase?
I don't have quite honestly, I don't have a lot of clients today in terms of one-to-one kinds of things. I've got a community of 450 small business owners. They're my clients. So I deal with a group. There's a difference in a group dynamic as opposed to a one-on-one dynamic. Mm-hmm. I think the best way to gain trust is to really understand what you're talking about. Really understand. One of my strong points when I was in the client acquisition business was I did my homework. I did my research. I found the pain points. Now, I might not be right on, but I'm in the ballpark. I will always be in the ballpark. And once that client says to me, well, David, yeah, you're kind of there, but then you've got them because you're playing on the same ball field. And that's once that trust is there, then they start to like you. They say, well, geez, this individual really knows what they're talking about. They've done their homework. It is one of my biggest pet peeves is, and I haven't had it happen for a while, but it happened about a year ago. Somebody called up on the telephone, or I don't know how we connected. Maybe it was a telephone call, or maybe it was a hangout. I don't remember. They had the answers to my pain before they knew what my pain was. And so I listened to them. I listened to them go on and on. And this is a big company. This is a big company, and they were maybe the #1 experts in their field. And they have somebody trying to sell me whatever their service was, and they didn't know what my pain was. They were so far off my pain point that, and I didn't even, maybe I was kind to them. I was maybe a lot kinder to them than I should have been. That you're providing solutions to me, and you don't even know what I need. How can you do that? So I guess the lesson to be learned is find the pain point, and if you find the pain point, that trust is going to start to grow, and then when you can find a solution to that pain point, then that respect gets there, and they've got to like you. They don't have a choice. They have to like you then. You found the pain, and you've got a solution for the pain.
So what I'm hearing you say is don't make assumptions about the pain point before you ask the people what they really need.
Well, we all know what happens when you assume. And absolutely do not make assumptions. Now, if you make
By the way, we will have in two weeks, in a week and a half, an episode about assumptions and where they lead to. It is the 3rd of August, I guess, Thursday, 3rd of August.
3rd of September.
Yeah, sure. We are in September. How quickly the year goes by. Maybe it's even the 4th. I'm not sure now about the date, but it's Thursday.
So to your point, Heidi, it's not necessarily bad to make an assumption, but if you make one, make it very clear to the individual with whom you're speaking that it is an assumption. Now, it's not a bad place to start. You may make an assumption that is way far away, and if they'll bring you back to the discussion, that's a good way to find a pain point. Make an assumption, but be very clear. I've done some research, I read this, da-da-da-da, and it might not be right on, but if they bring you back, you've got that client. You've won.
That's what I meant. You listen. You need to listen what they say.
Yeah. And that brings us to the next thing about listening. Because when you listen, especially to your own needs, what you need in a business, then you could become more passionate and more authentic about what you're offering, right? So how do you propose to do that for somebody like, let's say, starting out? How do you find that what you're most passionate about, you want to sell it, you want to do it, and then matching that up with a group of clients who need that service?
You have to be a good listener, period. Whatever it takes. If it means putting your hand over your mouth, that's what you have to do. You have to listen. Because that's how you get information. That's how you learn, is by listening to and part of listening too is asking the right questions. You have to ask the right questions and listen to the answer. So it's well, what is it? It's communication. It's basic communication. I've always said that 99.9% of the problems or challenges we have in this world is because there's bad communication of some sort.
I have a question for you, David.
Yes, sir.
Do you ask questions? Sorry, let me start again. Do you only ask those questions for which you know the answer, or do you ask the questions when they come to your mind?
Combination of both, I would say. I don't want to, actually, I want to ask questions that I don't know the answers. If I know the answers, why ask the questions? I want to ask questions that's how I learn. That's how I get more information. You know I love questions. The first book I ever published was How Do You Answer These 749 Questions About Your Small Business? 749 questions.
Wow. Yeah, we come to the right person here, right?
It's about questions. And I guess I have my mother to thank for that. My mother taught me early in life, always ask questions. Except don't ask me questions. When I tell you something, David, that's what we have to ask the questions, because that's how we get information. That's how we can formulate the solutions to the challenges that a small business owner has.
I'm actually trying to remember in which book I read this, but somewhere I read that only time when you're listening is the only time that you're listening is when you're not thinking of a response to the question. Or when somebody is talking, when someone is saying something, if you are thinking of how you're going to respond to that, then you're not listening.
Absolutely. Absolutely, because you're not there anymore with the person. You are in your own thoughts.
Yeah.
You're absent. You are not present. Mm-hmm.
So as I can conclude here is that to actually find your inner voice, to find what's authentic for you and be passionate, it all lies in tuning in and be mindful to a person sitting in front of you, and that is a prospective client, and find out from them exactly what they need. So I guess you could do that with surveys, you could do that with all kinds of ways. Sending out a newsletter, see how many response, etc. But what happens if you do a lot of different things? Like, you know, if as an entrepreneur we're doing everything. You're busy from morning to evening every time, and there's a lot of things there. How do you filter out those things that we really shouldn't do? Is there any tips that you can give us, David?
It's a great question that I have been dealing with very straightforwardly myself in the last couple weeks. And I probably shouldn't say what I'm going to say, but I'm going to say it anyway. That, you know, there's thousands of HOAs that we could be listening to get more information. The great thing about HOAs are that they are recorded, so you don't have to be there live. The only reason why you really want to be live is so that you can interact in the moment. That's the only reason that you'd want to be there live for that. And I will not, here's where I'm going to make an unpopular statement now. I will not go take my time, and my time is very precious, to go to an HOA unless I am pretty well convinced it's going to move my life forward in some way. It's going to move my business forward. It's going to move my personal life forward. I'm going to learn something. But I can go back and I can listen to it. Now, Vivek has taught me something that is, well, it's not new, but he does an extremely good job with it, and that's taking the HOA and breaking it down into what's it called, Vivek?
Time mapping.
Time mapping, time stamping. That is one of the best things that somebody started doing. Vivek does a great job in doing it. Matter of fact, Vivek is creating an application just for me that will automate the process. Aren't you, Vivek?
Well, can we get in on it? We need that too for our hangout.
We do.
Hey, we want something.
See, Vivek, I've created the demand for it. I've just created the demand for the application. No, but it's about how we all have to make the decision. We all have the same 24 hours in a day. That's the equal playing field. The difference comes on how we prioritize the use of our time. And when somebody says to me, I didn't have time to do that, it basically says it wasn't a priority to them to do it because they had time to take care of their priorities. So I don't like to hear that. I didn't have time for that. It just because you're saying to me you're not important, or what what you wanted me to do was not. It wasn't an important thing. So it's about how to make best use of our time, and that's a challenge that we all have. That's a challenge that entrepreneurs have. Should we be doing this at this moment? Is this what my business needs, or should I be doing this at the moment? Is this what my business needs? Maybe that's the fear, Margarita, determining what the priorities are.
Exactly. I knew there was a fear in there, and you know, the greatest fear that we have documented is, for most people, is public speaking. And so that's why we're talking about voice, because if somebody doesn't know how to do the voice, or how to say things, for example, like Heidi is a voice coach, and where to apply the voice, then you have to sort of find advice from somebody who do marketing, right? So there is many aspects of this, and yeah, I thank you for acknowledging that there is actually a fear in business. And I think personally, if we acknowledge our weak areas and say, yeah, I need help with this thing. I don't know what strategy I'm going to use. I don't know exactly which my ideal client is. And join a community, join other entrepreneurs, let's say, and really get together, do masterminds or something like that to actually find out how you too can succeed. Because when we're in a community, right, then we want to help each other. We're not competitors. And as for myself, I never believe there is competition. There is just encouragement. And if I see my competitors as friends, and then we can collaborate, and we do our individual businesses. And some people are better than others to do that. So what do you say about that, David?
I want to comment on that, but before I forget, there's another fear that I would be remiss if I didn't mention it. We'll come back to that question.
Oh, yeah.
It's the fear of rejection. It's a huge fear, and I have never really had that fear. And the reason I haven't had that fear is you're not going to have 1,000 batting average. You're just not going to have it. So keep that in mind. And if usually when somebody says no to what you're doing, they don't have enough good information. You haven't given them enough good information to say yes. So, but we're fearful of that, and folks, they don't ask for the sale because of that fear of rejection. They don't ask for the sale, and I will never leave a conversation without asking for the sale. So, we'll talk wherever we're going to talk, but that's the point. I mean, if it's a sales kind of situation, it might not necessarily be one, but fear of rejection. And asking for the sale, they're probably right at the top of the list also of fears that the small business owners have. Okay. There's 7 billion people in this world, or 8 billion. I don't know how many billion people there are. Keep on going. If that person says no, so what? Find someone. Keep on going. You'll get some yeses. And if you don't get any yeses, try something else in life.
So that goes back into our Hangout series we have done about emotions and how to handle emotions, because this fear of being rejected, it has to do with yourself. I mean, rationally we know that we cannot be accepted by everybody, and also that the client might need something which you don't have to offer, But personally, often we feel it like, oh. And so when we learn to handle our emotions, this shouldn't be a reason for fear anymore. So you might go back in our series of emotions. We have done, I think, 6 or 8 episodes on that. They are all on YouTube. And we have created a new website where we collect all of them that is called, Margarita?
HangoutOnConnections.com. I say it again, HangoutOnConnections.com.
Perfect.
And we have put all our replays there, and then we're also creating a page, Hangout on Connection or Connections Forum, and that we will start that, I guess, maybe in a couple of weeks.
On Google Plus. Yeah.
On Google Plus, yeah. And so I think that we can say some final words and conclusions about this, why your voice counts in your business more than anything. So what would you say to that, a concluding statement? Who wants to start?
I'll start.
Yes, I saw that coming. He was raising his hands.
Well, no, there was. If you do not believe that your voice is the strongest voice, it is the voice to be heard, then you probably shouldn't be in business, because your voice is everything. Your voice is what the business is all about, and if you don't believe and have faith and trust in yourself that your voice is the most important voice, you're not going to be able to win over another individual. They're not going to buy into what it is. So you've got to be authoritative. You have to be authentic. Vivek brought up authenticity. It's extremely important. You have to be consistent in that voice. But if you do not believe your voice is the most important voice in that conversation, then leave the conversation. And I'm not saying don't listen. I'm not saying don't listen to the client, the prospect, because they are the reason that you are there. They are the reason that your voice is to be heard. Yay! I brought it around.
Awesome. What do you say, Vivek?
Yeah, it's voice is important. It needs to be authentic. It needs to be appropriate. It needs to be truthful. And yeah, it's often quite difficult to. I mean, as solopreneurs, David, as a marketer, it's very easy to voice your business, but as an engineer, it's often very difficult. And there are lots of engineers, lots of technicians, as Michael Gerber would call them, who find it difficult to voice what they need to say. So it does need a bit of effort, but yeah, there is always help. And
I can remind you of that. Without the technology here on Hangouts, nobody could be actually sharing anything here. So we all have our different parts, right? So if we could collaborate with each other in each area of expertise, then we can have a functioning, very well lubricated system that works. Okay. So Heidi, take it away.
I would like to say that there are differences in how we go out into the world, and some people have more ease to go out, and some people believe more in what they are, their real expertise is, and some other people, and often there are also women, not only women, but often traditionally, who have more problems to believe that what they have to say is really worthwhile to say. So I think, Margarita, we should create a series about that, how we can get into the trust and into the belief that our voice is really counting. I mean, we could include this in this. How do we get there? Because who is already there has not a problem. But as Vivek said, you know, it is difficult first to be there in the belief that your voice counts, and then to develop the voice that it really is heard. These are two processes which we can learn, we must first believe that we need to learn it, and then we can do it. But probably you need some help. I mean, who is in this situation? And the others are, you know, like David. He is fortunate that he can go out like this. Here I am, and I do it. It's good.
Yes.
It's just another personality type, you know, and we have to find our way. We don't have to, when we are at a different personality type, we don't have to imitate those, because, you know, it wouldn't be authentic. And all this talking about authentic, actually, when we are a timid type and more like this, going backward and so on, we shouldn't be in this authentic, because this is not really authentic. This is a superstructure we have learned to hide back. So we first have to learn what it is to be authentic, who we really are, and then we can unfold. So this is a very long closing word.
I thank you, Heidi. You just took that away beautifully. Okay, so thank you everybody for coming. This extra special edition with our interview here on the questions. And next week on Thursday, we're going to continue with our series of Your Voice Counts. Okay.
This week, not next week. It's this Thursday.
Yeah, this is in 4 days. Thursday,
Yeah.
this, yeah. And so I will see you there, and Heidi and I will come back on Thursday, 9 a.m. Eastern or 3 p.m. Central European Time. So until that time, thank you so much, and see you later.
Bye-bye.
Well, my mouse would work.